You know what up, boys?
Like, it's so slimy.
I know,
slimy. We're live, by the way.
I didn't even know what I was gonna. Oh, yeah.
Wait.
Dude.
Hey, dude. What's going on?
Hey.
Hey,
guys.
We've been having a lot of fun in the house.
Yeah, you guys are having fun? Sven, is your cam working?
No, thankfully.
Oh, thank God. Yeah. Let's clean this up and then turn it on.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna swap on over. And let's see. Okay. And what the hell?
What do you mean, what the hell?
The thing's not working. The window capture isn't working for Discord. I gotta figure this out. Okay, there it is. But it's not showing it anywhere. That's so weird. Yeah, Discord is actually like not working as a display capture. Let me see here if I can get this to work. Existing, I might have to redo them again. It's not letting me add a window capture at all. Discord's bugged. I don't know what the hell it is.
Well, it just
it kind of sounds like the new World of Warcraft expansion. It's not ready. It's not ready.
Yeah, it is what it is, right?
It's terrible.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. I don't really know what to say. I'm a little bit concerned. Okay, I don't know. Sven, were you paying attention at all to like the video I was looking at? Like I'm not really sure.
I caught a little bit of it.
Yeah. Well, basically the gist of it is that Shadowlands isn't really ready.
Oh, good. So, what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, it's not ready because basically it's not. They haven't. It's like it's not ready. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. It's pretty much what you'd expect. Okay. All right, Rich, and we've got you. Oh, you're on camera now, by the way.
Is mine working?
Let's see. Let me go ahead and see. Yeah, it is. All right, let me go ahead and add you. The window captures for some reason don't work. I don't know why. Who the fuck knows why? Okay, there we go. And let me move this right on over here. There we go. And yeah, I don't know why. They just like randomly stopped working. Okay, boys. All right, we're on.
All right. I'm ready. Okay, so let's start off this episode of Allcraft with a quote from Leo Tolstoy in War and Peace. The two most powerful warriors are patience and time. And it looks like those two warriors are kicking Blizzard's ass. Let's talk about whether or not this expansion is ready or not. I feel like it's the biggest talking point in the community right now. Obviously, we have Sven on today for this episode of Allcraft. Last week, we didn't really get to go too much into the details of what was going on in the game. And we basically just ate Wendy's, but that means that we have even more to talk about this week. We wouldn't be able to do the show if it wasn't for our sponsors over at Party. A big thank you to them for making everything possible with Allcraft, but we're very excited to have Sven on the show. And I know Sven, we've been talking about everything World of Warcraft the entirety of the morning. And the biggest thing on our minds is whether or not this expansion is ready.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people feel this way, that the expansion's not ready. I feel like there's a lot of questions. I think them taking the latest build and making it taking the release candidate tag off and then putting it back on, it almost like shows like a little bit of a lack of confidence in like, hey, like maybe they don't even think it's ready yet, right? I don't know. How did you guys feel about that?
You're a classic boomer. What happened?
Yep.
So like, what happened whenever like BC was going to come out, and what happened about that?
Wait, what part of it? Right, like on launch?
Yeah, on launch. Well, what happened with the launch of BC?
I can't. I don't know if I know what you're referring to, because I remember there's pre-patch came out like 6 weeks beforehand, I think, because the beginning of December, and then halfway through January, the actual game itself came out.
Was it originally going to come out in January?
I don't remember if it got pushed back. I think it was. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
BC was good too, by the way.
BC was really good.
Back
really
when Blizzard was Blizzard.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Back when Blizzard was Blizzard, that was when the soon TM thing really started. There was a philosophy with the company in general that I think we can all attest to, that, you know, sometimes shit just wouldn't come out for a while because they were going to work on it and they were going to make sure that it was as polished as possible. when you look at Warcraft Reforged, I feel like that was one of the first times ever where it palpably felt like that was not a concern and that they were just trying to get stuff out as quickly as possible. Do you think that that was a definitive moment, or do you think it was a fluke in what we can expect with Blizzard moving forward? I see a lot of people reacting already with different things, but like people who are talking about WoD, the release to WoD, in a lot of ways, the leveling experience still felt complete. I think leveling in Warlords of Draenor, was Warlords of Draenor a good expansion? No, I don't really think so, but I think it's reasonable that they would expect the beginning of the expansion to go well. Warcraft Reforged, the game didn't really work.
Well, think about how good the WoD leveling was. People sat in an 8-hour queue every single day to log on to play it.
Mm-hmm.
The leveling was great.
I mean, I think you said something really important too, and I feel like it's going to be. I think you said it because I saw a lot of people tweeting it at you, and it seems like something that's going to be important for the entirety of this episode. Do we want to have a game that we? Oh, actually, you replied to somebody who said I already took time off.
Yeah. Do you want to play a piece of shit for a week, or do you want to play a good game for 2 years?
Well, no, not that one. But yeah,
okay.
that is true. But you basically said somebody who was like, it goes back to the patience thing. You basically said something along the lines of, do you want to be able to play a game and sit at home and play a game that's dog shit because you have time off for work, or do you want to rush home from work for a game that you love and like?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's about quality, not quantity. I think that like a lot of people might say that they want to spend all day playing a game that sucks, and then whenever they're at home playing a game that sucks, they're not happy. Hey guys. Call drop? We obviously had the call drop. How's my one in chat if you guys can hear me? Let me guess. The internet.
Yo. Yeah.
The internet died?
Yeah, we're in the same place. We're gonna fix it. We can just do it like this. You come here.
Oh no, it's back. I can hear you on my.
Oh shit! What the?
I don't know what the hell. How did my internet go out? Freaking. What is this?
Okay.
All right.
All right, there we go. ScuffedCraft? No, it's gonna be fine. So you can get back on the computer? Is it working now?
Yeah, I don't know. I could hear you on my headphones for a second there, but no, I can't.
Oh no.
Dude.
All scuffed? Why are they calling it all scuffed? There should be ScuffedCraft.
Oh wait, fucking wait.
I think we're back. I didn't hear myself.
Okay. Well, we're ready whenever. Yeah, we don't need to go to Wendy's again, guys. Like, come on. We can't do that again. All right, we're trying to figure it out. Their internet went out. They're at the same house, so that's, it is what it is. Go to Wendy's. They're kind of far away. It's gonna take us a while for us to get to Wendy's.
We'll just Uber Eats Wendy's this time.
Oh yeah, okay, great. That's perfect.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Your internet works now, right? You're on the computer?
So. Can you see me?
No.
Wait, why can't he see us? I can see you.
Yeah, can you see us?
Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, we're fixed.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Perfect.
Sweet beans.
We're back
So
in.
I want to start today's episode of Allcraft with a quote from Leo Tolstoy from War and Peace. the two most powerful warriors are patience and time. Thank you guys for having the patience of waiting while we got the internet working. Now let's see if we have enough time to actually fit in all the things that we need to talk about. I believe that we were talking about the new expansion potentially being awful. And I kind of want to talk to you guys about whether or not you think there is any real potential for them to delay the expansion to work on some of these things.
I think that I made my chat a bet. I said a 10-1 bet. I put 500 subs on the line. I think they're going to delay this motherfucker.
I think they should. I don't know if they will, but I think if the game's not ready, then don't release the game when it's not ready. Like you're not. What if you need an extra week or two? It's not going to be the end of the world, right? I'd rather get the game a week or two later, and it's good and it works, versus getting it a week or two early and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I get burned down on the game because I don't like it after 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, think even not just on the burnout side, which I think is really reasonable, but just think about BFA. Like I look at BFA and I think about that expansion, and there were a lot of things that weren't as enjoyable about it as we saw in the past. I think the leveling experience was pretty bad, and also just at a simple level, the gearing experience was not very pleasant, and the gear experience to a newer player was somewhat confusing. Like I had a lot of the friends that I have that are more on the like less on the WoW side of things and more on just like the I play video game side of thing, hitting me up being like, yo, what the heck is going on? And people are hitting me up for in-depth WoW questions. You know, something's going pretty awry.
Yeah.
And those people all ended up kind of burning out, I guess you would say, or just getting bored of the game and not playing BFA. The first expansion or the first impression of an expansion is so important to the general audience. And if it doesn't land, there aren't going to be people to play with in the MMORPG. You're just going to lose that core base of normies that I know Asmon used to talk about the idea of the Spurgs graduating to neckbeards, but we're losing anybody to kind of evolve and graduate.
Yeah, they're just going to go play Minecraft. I'm tired of it. I don't want to see it anymore. I have to get addicted to WoW again.
Yeah.
So what's the longest you guys think would be reasonable to see a delay for?
Until January. I think January, if it goes past January,
like
that's
2
a little
months?
bit unreasonable. But yeah, I would be fine. If they just told me, they're like, listen, we're going to release it February 14th. We know WoW players don't have girlfriends, so we're just going to bring this shit out and give you guys something to do and distract you. Like, I think that'd be completely on brand and totally fine.
Yeah, I think January is probably good for like the latest. I think if it goes to February, it's a long time.
I would not be happy.
Well, I mean, look at it this way, though.
It's still better than the game coming out like now and then just being garbage, right?
Yeah.
Any delay at all, even if they delayed it a week, it, I think, would just be such a positive thing just from what the community would see. I think the sentiment about that the community has is something that needs to be taken into account. The community doesn't feel like the game is ready. They're going to nitpick it no matter what. And I know that this is kind of a toxic mentality to have in some ways, but it was the same with the pull the ripcord thing. How are you ever going to beat that? How are you going to beat the masses feeling a certain way about your game? I think if they even delayed it slightly, I think the community would go, oh, they're delaying it because they want the game to be good. Do you guys think that it could go the other way, though, and people would freak out in the opposite way?
Well, you're going to have people get mad about everything. That's the thing, is like Blizzard could give people gold bars and you'd have people complaining they're too heavy. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way for Blizzard to make everybody happy. But I think the overwhelming majority of people, if they made a delay and they said, this shit ain't ready, and we don't want to give you a bad product because you deserve better than that, because all you guys are good boys and we love you. If Blizzard came out with that on the blue post, everyone would be like, oh yeah, dude, I am a good boy. And they'd be totally fine with it. I think the majority of people would be totally fine with it. It would be viewed overwhelmingly positively, because it would be a callback to what Blizzard used to do and the idea of what Blizzard quality is. It's the same as
release good games.
Yeah, imagine that. Like, look at Cyberpunk, right? Like, CD Projekt Red brings out Witcher 3, earns the love of millions of people. They delay Cyberpunk, like, 3 or 4 times? And people are still saying, we love you, just bring out the game whenever it's ready. Like, you're going to have some people that are pissed off, sure. But the majority of people are not acting that way. And I think that most people want to see a finished, high-quality product. Mm-hmm. It's better in the long run.
I just think too. I just think the impact that it's going to have on the player base if the beginning of an expansion is bad is just, and that was one of the reasons too why I was concerned about a lot of the more convoluted systems on the Covenant side of things. I feel like those are the ways that you scare off potential players. I mean, it's like going on a first date and just being like, I have a lot of hobbies like taxidermy. Do you want to hear all the details? It's like too much, too fast. Please slow down.
It's like, imagine like every system as a kid whenever you take a girl out on a date. You've got covenants, like conduits, you know, all of this stuff. Like, it's like 3 kids, man. Like, wow.
There's a lot going on there.
It's crazy.
The kids, it's like having children with criminal records. It's like,
it's like,
I got a son, Jeff. He's serving 9 to 10.
Yeah, he takes after his dad, and then, you know, the baby daddy comes in, and, you know, he's got a bunch of problems too. It's crazy. Yeah, it's plenty of issues, man. Like, I really think that what they need to do is, I think they need to delay this shit. I really think so.
So I have a question. Would the microtransactions be like you're paying for your girlfriend's child support in that case?
No,
You're
it'd be
paying
the
for the
sub
guy
fee.
for the girl?
It'd be the sub fee.
That's the sub fee? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Microtransactions are like dates.
Oh, okay.
Each date is a microtransaction.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
That's a sad way to look at it. Each day is a microtransaction. Fuck, dude, that's like actually morbid. Oh my god.
That's my son, Covenant Cody. Just make sure that you move slowly and he can always see your hands. He's a little twitchy. I think, that's also one of the big things to kind of look at is how some of these systems are actually shaping up. And I think this is an interesting place to start, because one of the biggest talking points that we've had as a group is how was Classic WoW actually going to impact future modern WoW expansions? Obviously, something that we'll talk about on this episode is the fact that most likely we're going to be looking at something like BC down the line. I think that's something that a lot of us expect to see. But when we actually look at how it impacted what we can expect in Shadowlands, do you think there was a big impact? Because it seems like they're trying to make some of these decisions have weight.
How do you mean? I'm a little bit unclear.
Well, basically, when talking about the Covenant system, and when talking about these, I personally, if I was going to go into my opinion, I don't think that they had a very good read if it is something that they pulled from Classic. But just the idea of having these covenants and these soul conduits actually have lockout periods.
So like creating things with weight and meaning in order to simulate the Classic experience?
To simulate some of the choices that had impact.
Go ahead.
Class identity.
Well, I was going to say, just because something was a certain way in Classic doesn't inherently mean that it was better, right? Because I think there's a lot of things that were, sure, like there were a lot of things in Vanilla, Burning Crusade, or like the older version of the game that a lot of people liked, but those things work or are good in that version of the game because that's what that version of the game is. It's all encompassing, right? It fits within all the systems of that game. I think that a lot of what they're trying to do is like they're trying to give you the it's like a fake weight to your options, right? Like it's like your decisions hold weight, sure, but they only hold weight because you're like time gating stuff, right?
Yeah,
So,
it doesn't actually
it's
matter.
really dumb.
It only matters because of the arbitrary throttling systems that Blizzard has created to make it matter. It has no actual meaning in the game at all. And also, like, this is what I was worried about with them. Like, I always joked about this, right? It's like, oh, I hope Blizzard takes and learns things from Classic. And then Blizzard's like, yeah, well, things used to take a lot longer back then, so we'll just make it take longer.
It's this weird fallacy, right? Of just like this idea of, okay, yeah, it took longer, but that's not necessarily the reason that it was enjoyable. And I'm kind of scared of the same thing. And that was why I asked that question. I do want to say really quick, because I see a lot of people asking about sound. I do apologize. I'm obviously at S-Fan's place right now, and Jenny dropped this microphone so many times, and it is so dented that the microphone is actually shaped like Tyler One's head. So I am not really sure. Yeah, I'm not sure which way I should point it.
Try, put it closer to your face.
Well, I think I'm too loud, which was why I moved it away.
No. Put it closer and just quiet.
I think you're fine. I'm pretty sure you're fine.
Use
It's not
both your
ideal,
hands.
but you're.
Yeah, it's good. Now, wider.
Yeah,
it's good.
Okay.
Okay, good.
You guys figure it out over there? You guys
Yeah, I think
get
we're good.
all that sorted out? We good now?
I think we're good.
All right, that's great. I am too.
I think though it's a really important thing to think about is like, okay, why were some of the things good in Classic WoW, and how does that actually translate into modern game design? Because when you look at some of the class identity that actually, S-Fan and I actually had a conversation over our Pop-Tarts this morning. This episode is not sponsored by Pop-Tarts. Cherry. Yeah, so we had a conversation this morning with Caden, and we were kind of talking about where some of those choices did come into play, where some of the class identity came into play, and how they actually fit into modern WoW. One of the things I was curious to see how S-Fan really felt about is fluidity between specializations. There's obviously less of that in Classic WoW, but I feel like in modern WoW, having that fluidity between specializations, especially just with how games currently work now and how you want to be interacting with other people, I think that that's something that, even though it feels right in Classic WoW, does not feel right in something like Shadowlands. Like, I feel like you should have fluidity between specs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like I've used the analogy. It's kind of like loadouts in Call of Duty or something. The game has changed so much where things are a lot more dynamic than they used to be, in terms of, oh, you might go with X amount of healers on one fight and this many DPS, whatever, and then you might want to switch stuff up in rating, or maybe you just, it's just a different game, right? Like, let's use the idea of like your decisions holding weight, and you make a decision and there's a consequence for that decision, pros and cons. In Classic, you have respecs, right? And that's 50 gold.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have gold, then you have gold and you can just respec, and you just flip it back and forth. Now, there's a whole discussion about economy and Classic and all that stuff, but let's just keep it simple. Well, if you have the gold, then you have the gold, and that's it, right? So it's not time gated. It's not like you can only respec once a week. You can respec as many times as you want, as long as you grinded enough gold or whatever to be able to afford it. And then this issue that you have now, or like going into Shadowlands, is there's no way to counteract time. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that.
That's the difference, right? I'd be okay if there was a way to counteract it. Like, I 100% agree with you. The issue
It's delayed!
Wait, is it true? Is that true?
Yo, Kaden just started screaming.
No.
Holy shit!
No way.
Yo,
That is so funny.
Yo, pull up the tweet. I gave you a react panel in the thread. Holy shit! I want to let you know we're delaying the release of Shadowlands to later this year. And while we're still in the process of terminating,
I don't believe it.
The right. Oh my God, they're actually doing it.
I don't believe it.
We felt it was important to let you know about this change and plans as soon as we could. This was an incredibly difficult decision to make. Good on them, dude. Holy shit.
Dude, that is so funny. Here, I have the.
I don't believe it.
Holy shit.
I don't
Do
believe
you
it.
want to full screen my camera? I have the tweet.
I like, my thing's messed up. I'm trying to get it to work. Like, I can't fucking figure any of this out. Can I just go to my other scene real quick? I'm gonna move you guys off real quick. I have to see this. There's no way. There's no way they delayed this shit.
Here, 1 second. Send DM.
There's no way. I don't believe it.
Jasmine. Holy shit.
I don't believe it.
That is so funny.
I don't believe it.
Right in the middle of Allcraft.
I don't believe it.
Oh my God.
I don't believe it.
That is so funny.
Zach, I tweeted you, but don't open the DMs on
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to. I'm just gonna go follow the link. It's okay.
Did you send Asmund the same thing you sent me with the?
Oh Jesus, yeah. Really, don't
do
open
not
DMs
open
on stream.
DMs.
Yeah, do not open our DMs.
I know.
That's whoa. That was a terrible idea. Oh my God, I'm never DMing you ever again when we're live. Oh my God, thank you. Wow. I'm sweating. Holy crap. What a day. Wait, give 500 subs, dude.
Wait, so what was the deal? I thought you said that if it's not delayed.
Holy shit, dude. Why is he showing his dick?
You guys, boy, what I tell you guys? I knew that shit was gonna happen. You knew they were gonna do it, man. That shit wasn't ready. I knew it, man. There it is, dude. Woo! There it is, boys.
There it is, dude.
I knew it.
Hey, well, this is great. This is big time.
This is a lot of money because I've got a bunch of subs on it. I knew it, man. Give me all the money. You think I'm gonna lose?
Wait, he won.
I never lose.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he lost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying chat was saying it backwards.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, dude.
Oh,
there it is, man.
Now they give him the money. Oh wow, look at that. Wait, it's actually delayed.
Well, that's great.
This is so awesome.
That's great.
This is good on them. That takes some fucking.
Now, you know what's funny is I initially. Let me put my camera back on here.
I'm tweeting at them right now.
I've got to show you guys real quick. All right, I got you guys on a frame. Like, it's really scuffed right now because I don't have the other one set up, but you guys are on the frame.
It's all good. I'm tweeting at them right now. Thank you. Wishing you guys all the best with getting finished. Gonna be a great expansion. I mean, that That is awesome. The fact that they actually did it. Also, we have a lot more time to hang out before it comes out now, which is kind of cool too. So selfishly, I'm just looking forward to hanging out. Damn. Okay, I think that's one of the craziest things that's ever happened. Well, first, look at it this way. When they did the thing with the patch, obviously it's not something that all of us completely understand to the fullest, but I don't think anything like that has ever happened before in the 15 years that I've been following Blizzard games. And I think that there's been a trend right now where people are kind of concerned that Blizzard's moving away from some of their old ways. I think that this is definitely a step back in the right direction. You did say it. You did say it. Wow, dude. How do you guys feel?
I feel great.
I feel right.
Yeah.
I feel right.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like,
can I read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's go ahead and we'll read it. Let me. I gotta put some serious music over this.
Just put it in text to speech. Like,
no, that would be awful.
Do Brian. Brian's a really good reader.
Oh, dude, Brian.
Wow.
Yeah, I like Brian.
Nah, F that guy. Brian always he says mean things to me for $3.
Yeah, dude, Brian, like every time he sees sevens, he gets like way too excited. 777 quadrillion. Yeah, just put it to Brian.
All right, let me read it. To the WoW community, I wanted to let you know that we're delaying the release of Shadowlands to later this year. And while we're still in the process of determining the right date to launch, we felt that it was important to let you know about this change in plans as soon as we could. This is an incredibly difficult decision for the team, as we are eager to get the expansion into your hands as you play it, but ultimately, we feel it's the right decision for the game and for our players. Over the past several months of testing, we've made significant progress iterating and polishing the core features and gameplay of Shadowlands. We're at a point where the zones, the campaign, the level up questing experience, and the story that we are ready to tell is essentially ready to share. We're excited by the covenants at the heart of the expansion, and it's been a thrill to see Torghast take shape into a new kind of WoW experience. Thanks in no small part to your input. However, as everything started coming together, and we've been listening to and building your feedback, it's been increasingly clear that we need a little more time for additional polish and to balance and iterate on some of the interlocking pieces, particularly those related to the endgame. Shadowlands is one of the most intricate expansions we've created yet, and while we've made great progress, the challenge of tuning the endgame was compounded by the team having to work from home. Blizzard has a commitment to quality. We believe Shadowlands will be something special, and we've heard from many of you who feel the same. We need this extra time to ensure Shadowlands lives up to its full potential. In the meantime, we're excited to announce that beginning October 13th, we're releasing the Shadowlands pre-patch, which lays a lot of the groundwork for the expansion and includes our revamped character leveling new player experience on Exile's Reach and a host of other new character customization options. And once we get closer to Shadowlands release, you'll be called upon to defend Azeroth against the resurgence of the Scourge during our pre-launch event.
Wow, that fits in our schedule really well.
It really does. That's crazy, huh?
It does.
That is just crazy.
That's convenient.
Wow, that's really perfect. Thank you, Blizzard.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate that.
Wow, that really helped. Well, I gotta say, I think that this is one of the best things that we've seen from the company in a very long time. And I think this is a huge step in the right direction, and it's given me a boost of confidence. It's funny that this is what we needed to have a boost of confidence in the expansion.
Yeah, actually, because it gives us hope, right? It gives us hope that they're going to go back to the drawing board. And okay, like people obviously don't like this. What the hell is wrong with paladins? You know, the usual. That
is the usual
for every expansion. Yeah. So I think it's good. Now you know what I think is not good. Did I end up on the Warcraft like shit list? What happened? They unfollowed me on Twitter. Yo, at Warcraft, what the hell, dude? Why'd I get unfollowed? What did I say?
Did you actually?
I'm not surprised. I'm gonna be honest.
Wait, what did you do?
I don't know. I probably existed or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, hey,
see
look.
that.
At the end of the day, they fired me, and they still follow me. You had to do something real bad.
I'm
dude.
pretty sure they've got me on mute.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, so do I, so I
So
can't
do I,
blame
yeah.
them.
Wow.
I don't even see any DMs me anymore.
I can't believe it, man. I cannot fucking believe it. Like, it's one thing, like, I looked at it as like, you know what, this is gonna be a win-win, you know? It's actually getting fucking delayed.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's good. It's huge.
Well, I'm trying to think of parallels that have ever happened at Blizzard. Like,
Burning Crusade. That is
Burning
the parallel.
Crusade, I was too young to remember stuff.
Burning
So
Crusade
I
was
actually
originally
don't-
going to come out in 2006, and Blizzard said that it was not ready, it was not up to their quality standards, and they said, you know what? We're going to skip the holiday season, and we're going to release this game in the finished state in the way that it should be.
But that didn't have. Did that have a full date, or did that have an estimated date?
Yeah, I actually don't remember.
Like that's the only thing, and I'm not saying either way because I actually don't know. But
Yeah, I actually don't remember either.
I think that there's a pretty large difference with, hey, we're aiming for this season, and this game is coming out on the 27th. Like we
No.
had a firm date. Like think about it this way: you go back to Wrath of the Lich King, there has never been a missed feature on the box since Wrath of the Lich King, for example, right? When they actually have like that box art come out, when they have all of those things come out, like when they say that they're going to do something, when they actually give a firm date, I don't think that they've ever gone back, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're taking notes from Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Yeah,
On top of
obviously,
mixed features
you
as
can
well.
you can only fuck up so many times until people think you're a fuck up.
Path of Titans wasn't on the box in Cataclysm though.
Dance Studio was, but like the point is that
but
it's still the same
this
thing.
doesn't. Yeah, it's a big deal. Like this is a very
This is
big
a
deal. but
huge big deal.
I think it's
Holy
very
fuck.
very good news. Like it's very good news.
Oh my god! Like,
Wait, what's not true, Caden? What's not true?
Warcraft were back in box feature for BFA, they weren't on launch.
Wait, say that one more time.
Warfronts weren't on launch.
Box feature, they made it until after launch.
Yeah. But there's never been anything on a box that's never made it into the expansion except in Wrath, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like in Wrath, there were features on the box that genuinely never made it into the game at all.
yep.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well, you had Demon Hunters on the vanilla box, but that's a different.
I do want to say, guys, also, my 5,000 subs, I will not be collecting those until next stream. And so you guys don't really, obviously we're doing a show, so I won't have time to thank everybody. But thank
So
you,
all of
everybody
those
who
subs
started
right
already
now
gifting
don't
subs.
count.
Yeah, these don't count. It's going to have to be 5,000 more.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, yeah, this is, yeah, of course, it's 5,000 more. That's just the way it goes, guys. If you listen, you want to make a deal with me, you got to play by my rules. That's just the reality, guys. Thank you, guys. Read the delay. I already did, actually. And
So here's the thing that I want to ask right now.
okay, all right, ask it.
So we have a delay. We
Yeah.
know that the pre-patch is going to be coming out on the 13th now. If you're somebody in the community right now who's watching, what do you think that we as a community can actually do to make the expansion best possible? Like what do you think the actual course of action is?
And by the way, guys, I'm fixing everything. That way we can see what's going on here.
So I think that while Asmund does that, I think that sometimes a lot of people say like, oh, well, they need to do more testing, more feedback, whatever. And this happened with BFA. The amount of people playing beta and testing and giving good feedback and all this kind of stuff pales in comparison to the amount of people that are playing it literally just like on day one of the game launching itself. So that's part of the reason why you find so many more bugs and issues with the game after it actually launches.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of discount that, right? Like the whole joke was beta for Azeroth, and you know, let's be honest, by no means was BFA perfect on launch, and I mean it's still not perfect, right?
No,
But I do think even though you have a lot of people, a lot more people actually being able to play the game and test it, and you see more direct feedback whenever that happens because it matters to them. I did see that they put out another wave of beta invites. Did you see that?
no, I
People are
didn't see
supposedly
that
getting more-
actually.
Yeah, supposedly people are getting more beta invites as of last night. So maybe that was kind of like a sign of them delaying it because they were like, well, let's just send more beta invites to people and get more people involved and see if we can get any more feedback.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's obviously what they need to do. I mean, I'm so glad. Like, I'm actually, it's one thing for me to say it's going to happen and just do it, my own, my usual way. But I actually, it's great to actually be right about this. And it's not like just the usual feeling good about being right because, you get the ego boost from it. I actually am happy about this. Like, this is great. Like, I'm so happy. What's so funny, man?
I'm just watching you try to fix.
Well, no, I'm working so.
The thing is like I start laughing because it's funny watching you try to fix the scenes, and then I look at chat and they start saying "hold it in,"
and then you can't hold it in.
I can't hold it. I can't hold it in. I can't hold it in at all.
We know.
Oh, and I'm so excited. Like this is actually one of the, like, how many times have we talked about it? Like, we've obviously had a few days where it's just been all of us hanging out and talking about what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. And as somebody who genuinely loves World of Warcraft, I don't think we could have a better omen. So I'm in the best mood right now. And I think that it takes a lot of, that's like a big decision to make for Blizzard.
Yeah,
and it was definitely not an easy one. I'm glad that they made it.
Yeah, I can't believe it, man.
Good on them. Seriously,
I kind of thought originally that the game was going to come out around January, but then that would have been like a year after. I mean, if it does go to January, then that would be about the same time that the last patch of WoD was. Right?
Yeah.
Because was it a year for the last patch? Am I misremembering?
It was more than a year. Yeah,
I know they said later this year. But I'm just saying, like, when they said they would never go that late again. I gotta check this out again. I can't remember exactly how long it was. Last patch of WoD.
I think it was 14 to 15 months. That's what I'm pretty sure it was. And I also want to say that after everybody was telling me how, this is not, everybody's going to be upset about it and it's going to be bad, etc. Everybody here is happy. Do as much polishing as you need, Blizzard. We would rather have a great game than an early one. Like, everybody is saying exactly what I said was going to happen. Like, everybody's happy about this. This is great. This is a huge success and a huge win for the community.
I mean, even if it is a few weeks, right? As little as a few weeks, like,
yeah.
If that's the time that it takes for them to feel comfortable and like, hey, it's ready, then great. I mean, it just, as long as to me, as long as it's ready to go, it's ready to go.
I mean,
it clearly wasn't.
I honestly, they could have delayed it a week or two and it would have been a positive. I hope that it's a much longer delay. I hope that they fix the things that they need to in the game, because a trend that was already happening, when you are in crunch and all of a sudden you need to get something out, you need to take some of the faster options, right? Like, let's say you have a bunch of different covenants and they have really unique abilities and you're trying to get classes to be balanced. And I think everybody's already seen that the difference between the covenants was substantial and it was not very equal between a multitude of specs. So the quickest way to fix that problem, and this is obviously coming from my perspective, would just be to nerf everything and try to balance it and make it as baseline as possible. What do you get? You get a very homogenized, flat experience that doesn't do covenants justice. It makes all of the classes feel way worse. You're not excited about your new abilities that you're actually getting inside of the expansion. And if they were rushing, then all of a sudden, everything's going to be existing that way. Everything's going to be completely flattened. If they have a little bit of time, the game actually has room to grow.
We just want the game to be good. I think that's all it comes down to. And I'm glad that Blizzard shares that sentiment. I think everybody that saw the beta and saw the state that it was in could realize that there were a ton of problems that the game had, and here we are now. It seems like we're actually on the road to recovery. I mean, the thing is that, like, Blizzard has never released 2 bad expansions in a row. What is it, Rich?
What?
You got your mouth open. You put your hand on the side of your head. What the hell did you just read?
They said cinnamon? I don't know what that means.
The cinnamon gives you that reaction? It's not that big of a deal. It's just a spice.
I don't know why they're saying cinnamon. I'm sorry.
Why did they say 7?
They said 7's funny.
Well, now cinnamon's funny too.
But no, I don't know why they said cinnamon. I wasn't going to say anything about it. I was just trying to figure it out. I'm on Ginny's setup. Like, it's hard to read.
Okay.
I was looking. I'm sorry.
I think you press Alt Shift to switch it from Korean to English. I don't know what is the code for that. You can change the language. Yeah, Korean is installed on that computer.
So, you actually memeing?
No, I'm serious.
I was gonna make a stupid joke, but I did. Okay, wow. All right, that's insane. Okay, never mind.
Oh yeah, that worked.
Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, people are very happy about this. This is fucking great, man. Like, I knew this was gonna happen too. Like, that's what's so good about this is that I think this actually gives people a certain degree of like, it gives them confidence. I would say. Yeah, it gives them actual confidence.
Now, here's the bad part about it is, and this is more like on an individual basis, but for the people who maybe they took off some time from work or whatever, like individually, like it kind of sucks for those people, but it's just how it is sometimes.
Hopefully it's enough time, right? And this goes back to one of the things.
What do you want to do? You want to sit at home all day and play with a piece of shit? Like, you want to play a broken-ass, busted game? No. Like, here's the thing. Like, I would rather look forward to coming home to playing a game that I love than spending all day at home playing a game that I hate.
Well, here's the thing. You've been doing that for 15 years, so what's going to be any different?
So I've got a lot of practice, and I know for sure I don't like it. There you go.
So
got a lot of experience.
Look, sometimes it's nice to have some change.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're gonna hashtag pull the ripcord? Do you think that they're buying time to actually make that make sense, or do you think that they're buying time to make the covenants work? I
think they're buying time to make the game work.
Yeah, like, I'm curious which way it goes though, right? Because a lot of people are saying no. It's like one of those things where I wonder how much time they actually buy and how much they can actually make things change. Because we talk about some of the things that are wrong. Even today, it's like little things that don't seem super significant that add up very quickly. I know, Aspen, you were talking about the leveling experience and XP tuning, things like that. You know, they buy more time; they're going to be able to make that salvageable. But do you think that we're going to see big changes with the soul conduits, which really hadn't been tested too much? Do you think go ahead? We're
going to see big changes. It's hard to say that we're going to have big changes, but I think that'll be it'll be more substantial than what we would have saw if they didn't do the delay. Like, yeah, a lot of people are just shocked about it. That's what I'm kind of reading here, and like almost everybody is like, thank fucking God, I'm okay with this. This is awful.
They waited until. Why do you think they tweeted it? Do you think they waited for Allcraft to tweet it?
Basically what it was is like, I talked to the devs and I said, like, listen, like, I know you guys are gonna do this delay, so I want to make this fake bet with my chat about doing this 500 sub thing so I can cheat them out of 5,000 subs and make a bunch of money, and then we'll split half of it, and I won't complain about the next storm out. And so they were down with that. I was down with that. It just worked out for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And hopefully they can use that money to fix the game now. But I actually think that this is like a super positive thing. I think this is some of the best news that we've gotten around Shadowlands, which is kind of crazy, but I'm very confident in the expansion again. I just hope it's a long delay. I hope it is till January, like you guys have already mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, I think up to January. I think any later than January would be bad, but they did say this year, which is good. But I think any later than January is kind of like, okay, this is dragging on. But, you know, for the most part, like, as long as they get it right, they get it right.
If they get it right, it doesn't matter. Like, I just play another game, play something else. Like, it's not a big deal, right? I mean, people are going to come back to WoW. They're going to play the new WoW expansion. That's what really matters the most. And so, like, making sure that the experience is good is really what matters. Like, at this point, I really think Blizzard should take this extra time to look at the way these conduits work. Look at especially the cooldown with conduits, the 1 week cooldown. I really don't like that. I think it's just, like, unnecessarily restrictive. And it just, like, it prevents people from testing and trying out new things, and I think that's what people want to be able to do, and so I hope they make that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that definitely changes the course of the show. Well, we kind of Yvonne. I feel like
So
the
let's
entire part
just
of the
stick to
show-
the script, right? Let's just stick to the script. So do you guys really think they might delay Shadowlands?
I think that they will.
I don't know, man.
I really- I think it
I
could
don't see it
happen, though.
happening. I don't see it happening. I think it would be really surprising if they did that.
It really would be. But, be a big dick move and be the right call. So, you know what? Maybe they might do it.
Maybe. Rich, what do you think? Also, can I say something? I've been objectified so much in your chat today. S-Fan, why are you so S-Fan, why are you so tasty? S-Fan is a hot hunk. S-Fan is so hot. Like, look, I'm not a piece of meat, okay? Like, come on. What is this, guy? This isn't a freaking. It's not that kind of show. What the hell is this? I'm looking
Kind of
at you every
is,
time.
actually, at this point.
Oh yeah, I guess since Rich is here, it is. But
Yeah.
never mind. I guess it is that kind of show.
Yeah, it's not easy being the type of streamer I am.
No, it's not.
Farming Coomers.
No,
Somebody's trying to do it.
Actually, it.
21% female audience on Twitch, by the way.
There you go.
1% female audience on Twitch, by the way.
It's actually crazy.
I have
to think
0%. Don't worry.
about. With the like Asmon has at any given time 50,000 people watching his stream, and there are more girls watching my stream than his stream. Crunched the numbers. I did the maths.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I actually never mind. I'm not going to go into it. I was talking to never mind. We did the math, but when we actually look now at what the communication is going to look like with this expansion,
Yeah.
what do you guys want to see Blizzard do next? Like, how do you want the communication to actually go? Do you think probably radio silence until the 13th? We get the pre-patch and then play around with it for a little while? Do you want to hear from them right away? Like, what do you guys actually want to see Blizzard do next? What's their next move?
I think, honestly, we just want to see more feedback and more communication in terms of classes. I think that's probably the biggest weak point that the game has, is that the game doesn't really have the classes in the way that it should have them. And what I mean by that, that's very unclear and weird. But what I'm saying is, for example, monks, I know that some of their abilities just simply don't function properly, and those things need to be fixed, and the classes need to be working functionally and properly and working well and being fun to play. And I think that should be Blizzard's #1 priority.
I'm seeing chat right now, kind of overwhelming majority of people going open beta ? Do you think something like that's actually important, to have more people testing the game?
Open beta is kind of a scary thing, right? Because for a company, because they might go open beta, and from a business perspective, they might just say well, if we go open beta, we're basically giving them the game for free.
They shouldn't do open beta.
I think one thing to consider is people don't really have the same investment in betas as they do in the real game, because the real the full retail version of the game, they have their characters, right, with all their stuff and everything else, and there's a certain level of connection there, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that for the average player, playing beta worsens their experience significantly. This is anecdotal. I do not have any data to back this up, but as somebody who I feel like for majority of my life played the game as a normal player, anytime I played beta, I ended up getting less hype because I did all of the things. There was no permanence on that server, and then I was like, fuck this. Even with tournament realms back in the day. Do you guys remember the old tournament realms? I used to go into tournament realms, buy all the gear, just play a couple of games, and I was like, well, I already got all the gear, so
done. Finish that.
Yeah. So beat that game. So I do think that it's not necessarily something that helps the player base, but it helps the developers if it's done the right way. You kind of steal the players of a little bit of their fun to make sure that the majority of people have fun later on. But I do feel like it was slightly different one time and one time only, and that was Classic. Didn't Classic Beta was stupid fun.
For a little while, and then people stopped playing it.
Well, you know what's funny is I think in a lot of ways the best part of Classic was the level 30 beta. Level 40 wasn't bad either, but the level 30 beta was incredibly fun.
We could have cleared all the men, man. We could have done it.
I don't
done
know. Dude, I will say one of my favorite memories of all of Classic so far is us doing SM Armory. And I will say one of my favorite memories of all of vanilla WoW experience, period, is us killing SM Armory at level 30.
Dude, that was so fucking hype. I remember,
And
like,
that's probably a legitimate world first too.
yeah, it was really fucking fun. And then remember whenever we were doing the race against Soda's group in SM.
Yeah, and Cathedral.
And then they were dominating us, and then we just came in and one-shot that boss. Dude, that was such a good fucking day, man.
Dude,
like, I remember that. Man. Yeah, I will never fucking forget that stream. Like, all of that kind of stuff was so fucking fun. Like, what I'm thinking now is, like, I just hope that they have this time and they can really just make the game good. Because, like, ultimately, like, I'd rather wait for a finished good product than just play something that's like kind of mediocre. And like the weird thing about that is, like, I know we talked about this whenever BFA was coming out. Like, we thought it would be better for Blizzard to just get the expansion out and just get it in people's hands and let them play it as soon as possible. That's what I was saying in BFA, and it turned out to be completely fucking wrong.
Yeah. Which as far as, like, have you noticed this happens a lot with the WoW community? Like, people say we want this, and then they're like, okay, and then it's like, wait, this sucks.
So they think they do, but they don't.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot of that with the WoW community, and now I do think to some degree it's like Blizzard doesn't implement it right, but then there's also times where, like, the players ask for something and they don't really know what they're asking for, like PvP templates, right? Like,
good example. Great example.
Going back to Legion, and everybody's PvP templates. We need this. I mean, you know, that way we can level alt so we can play and do this. But then you have templates and it's like, well, now it's just dumb, right? It screws it up and it doesn't really feel like you're building your character and all this stuff.
So I agree wholeheartedly, but it's really the developer's job, right? And to have that bridge between the community management and the developers to parse what it actually means, what the feedback actually means, and say, okay, just because they say they want this, I use like your chat's gonna freak out if I say this word. There's a term in game design. Yeah, I'm just gonna say there's a term in game design called cocaine logic, right? Like the idea is like it's just like more. I want more. I want this. This feels good. Getting XP feels good. The player is going to want to just instantly get all of the XP in the world. But the thing is if you give them that, the game has no longevity. It loses its meaning. It loses its value. That's why you gate it behind doing certain tasks. And that's the whole job of the game developer is like, okay, wait, they said XP feels good. How do we keep this experience as a fresh one? How do we keep it as one they remember? I saw a lot of people saying to check Bellular's tweet. He said, I predict last week of November, first week of December is kind of and this is basically what Twitter is right now. It's everybody just trying to predict when they actually think the game is going to come out. But S-Fan, I feel like you bring up a really good point, and Asmon as well. Just this idea of the developers need to figure out the what the community is saying and what that actually means. Saying that covenants are bad might not actually mean that covenants are just bad, period. What are the reasons that are causing these pain points?
Right, absolutely. And that's another thing is sometimes, like, the message ends up getting lost, right? Or people say, and this is something I think all developers do. I don't think this is a Blizzard specific thing or a WoW specific thing or anything, where a lot of times players are like, we want this, or like, I don't like this, and then the developers go and they want to listen to their community, and by listening to their community, they hear that part and then they do that thing, and that's bad. I think what they need to do a lot of times is, okay, they're saying this. Let's find out why they're saying this and come up with a solution to attack that problem. And it's a regular issue that you see in all games. It happens time and time again. And then they're like, well, we listen to you guys. You know, we just want to listen to the community. And it's like they're like trying to farm good favor by doing it. But sometimes they don't actually know what's best for them, or like they don't understand why they like something or why they don't like something. And, you know, including myself, including all of us, like, we're all players. And sometimes we're like, oh, we like this and we don't know why we like it. We just like it.
Yeah, there are a lot of moments where, you know, and it's not the job of the player to adequately describe what it is about the system that's causing them to feel different things at a certain time. Sometimes the game just feels good, right? And it really is on the developer to develop the game, try to figure out those different things, try to figure out what they're hearing from the community. The player doesn't need to write an essay. The player needs to play the game and be like, yeah, I like it. Like, this is great. But I think that we can finally get to the place where we do get there. I think every warlock on Twitter the past few weeks has been enraged through it. Like, I keep seeing every warlock's tweets get progressively more and more angry, and warlocks aren't necessarily even a class that I think is in the worst place at all. I just feel like for some reason they tend to be the loudest on Twitter, and a lot of that is around the covenants. Then we have the video today that Asmon was watching about the leveling experience, and it did feel like pretty much every aspect of the game wasn't in a place where it should ship.
Well, it was different, right? And like if Blizzard had changed their philosophy about leveling to quests are not all you can do or all you need to do, you need to also do like dungeons. You need to also grind mobs like in Classic WoW. That's how it used to be. So if they're changing their philosophy, then I want to hear that. But based off of what we've seen, based off of the last 6 expansions, that's not the route they've gone down. So it was very clear that it seemed like it was very unfinished. And I'm very glad they've changed that thing there.
I will say, though, to look at it holistically, on the beta, the idea of leveling from 1 to 50, I already think that is implemented pretty well. And I think Exile's Reach is a good 1 to 10 experience that will actually get more people in the funnel of the game and have them potentially playing. I think that they did hit that on the head. So that's fantastic. Yeah. That hasn't been done in years, and it's been getting increasingly difficult to actually have a new player start playing the game. I see some people saying 1 to 50 is too fast. I actually don't think so. I actually think 1 to 50 right now for the current state of the game is an enjoyable experience. Yes, it's not... It can't try to tackle some of the epic experiences that a lot of us were very fortunate to have with different things like Classic WoW. I think that they've put a very realistic marker on how much time you should be spending leveling. And I think that you get an ability to learn the game, see a decent amount of the world, which wants to get you into the world more. Like you get to go through that experience and go, oh shit, I actually want more. I want to see more. So I think that that's good.
I'd love to see them incorporate more types of max level questing and other types of rewards around that. Like if they incorporated certain different zones and areas in the game for, little dailies. I loved what they did with the Arathi Highlands, where you're able to go back into the new zone and kill all the rares. I'm disappointed that it didn't have more quests in the area and other things that you could have done. If they could have done basically, like I feel like Nazjatar had a lot of problems, especially with like the terrain, but I really liked the questing layout of Nazjatar. And I think the questing in Nazjatar was the best in all of the zones in BFA. And I would have loved to have seen the questing paradigm in Nazjatar with a combination of world quests, group quests, a campaign quest. I'd love to have seen that been extrapolated and used in other places in the game, like Dark Shore. And Dark Shore to an extent was, but it wasn't that big. But like with Dark Shore, Arathi Highlands, and also with Ulban.
I think that I agree with you by and large with the mixing of systems. I think that was very healthy, and it was actually something that you and I had talked about on Allcraft a whole bunch that we wanted to see. Just because one system is working, whether it's dailies or world quests, it doesn't mean that there can't be interplay between those different questing experiences. But one big problem that I had with Nazjatar, which soured a lot of the experience for me, even though I would like to see some of those philosophies carried over into other zones, the verticality in that zone made it very difficult to traverse, and I didn't like having to get from place to place in Nazjatar, even though the zone was beautiful. Yeah.
It sucks. Like whenever you get flying in Nazjatar, it goes from the worst zone to a good zone. A great zone, maybe. I really like Nazjatar, but before, it's the funny thing is, like, I even said despite the terrain or besides the terrain, and people are like, yeah, but what about the terrain? Like that's how bad it really was.
And that's the thing. It goes back to the other thing that you were talking about and S-Fan were talking about. It's as a player, you shouldn't really need to separate that.
Well, that's the first impression. Because most people have flying now that play the game, but they still don't like the zone based off of their first impression.
Yeah, I think that, not to harp on this too much, but when you do look at some of those zones, like Nazjatar, there is this weird disconnect with flying where it's only good when flying is there, and it's not like zones were in Wrath when flying almost made the game feel like a Metroid Castlevania type game where you actually had access to more things. The zone felt good without flying, but once you had flying, it was like, holy crap, I can get on the top of that mountain that I've always wanted to get on the top of. And I do think that they should move back to zones like that. Obviously in modernity, I feel like some of the zones that were solid, you kind of look at Stormheim, right? I think Stormheim had some solid moments for flying that kind of felt interesting. But for the most part, I think you look back to Wrath of the Lich King, and I think it was pinnacle flying. I think cold weather flying was actually the best variant that we ever had.
There were a few cool places in like Deepholm and a few cool places in just the generally Cataclysm zones that I think flying was great for. And
I think.
Cataclysm zones, like flying around and doing Hydrail quests, etc. That was great. I love that. So I don't think that it's impossible for them to add flying, but you're right in terms of unlocks, like being able to fly up to Tempest Keep, like being able to fly up to Mechanar or to Botanica. That's awesome. And like being able to fly over to the island where the Nether Drakes were in Shadow Moon Valley. Like, these were really, really cool. And this is the thing that, like, I'm disappointed about, is that flying could be this incredible, cool, fun thing. And I just feel like all the time they make flying like this unfortunate reality that just kind of makes the game more boring. Like, I know I talked to Preach about this, and I'd love to see flying used in the same way that it was used in in Storm Peaks. I'd love to see it used in the same way that it was used in Netherstorm back in the day. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And now
make it
to
cool.
Put zones under the microscope right now, because I really want to hear S-Fan's take on this. If you put zones under the microscope, I think if one thing was ready to be shipped, it actually is the zones. I think the zones have looked remarkable, and I'm curious how S-Fan you feel about the zones.
Well, I feel like something that Blizzard has pretty much always done well has been the art. I think the art team and level design of the world always looks amazing. I don't think, I personally did not like all the green slime everywhere in Legion, but that's to me, that's just like a personal preference. But as far as like how the game looks, how the world looks, how the map looks, I think it's great.
Do you see a picture I have on my stream?
Sorry, what'd you say? I couldn't hear you, Aswin.
Do you see a picture I put up on my stream?
No, the stream's frozen for me. 1 second.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, the art is great, the music, all that stuff. It's great, right?
Yeah.
I especially liked BFA. I really did like the art style of BFA a lot. Like the armor looked like armor. The one thing, looking back on Burning Crusade, like it was a lot, like it's very spacey, but it kind of fit Outland. It made sense. But
Legion
I
had the same
loved
vibe.
how BFA looked. Yeah, Legion had a very similar vibe, but I loved how a lot of the BFA stuff looked. Like armor looked like armor. I loved all the Coltiran stuff. I thought it was cool. I love the pirate ships and all that.
You liked everything probably except for the raid armor.
Yeah, I always think that's true. Actually, I do think that a lot of the raid armor over the years has just gotten so ridiculous that it does look kind of weird. But I liked it more than Legion.
So I do want to backpedal slightly, just like we all do in game. Chat brought up a very good point. When I was talking about all of the zones being great, I don't even count the Maws zone. It's so bad. Like the Maw is actually so bad.
You know what I was telling them it was like? It was like whenever you're on the alpha and you accidentally get into a new zone that's not finished.
Yeah.
And it's like there's nothing really there. It's like
Maw.
it's a desolate wasteland, except for it is finished. That's there you go. Hey, here you go. Like, what do you guys think about being able to use a mount in the Maw that you can get from Torghast, and like that being the only way you can get a mount? I think it's cool.
So I'm going to start on the positive note before we dive fully into the Maw, where every other zone, kind of like S-Fan was saying, I feel like we do have the right level of variance, which is great. You feel like you're traveling in very different zones with strong individual themes, and then like you said, when you get to the Maw, you really feel like you fell into the bottom of the world and you're not supposed to be there. It's like being under Stormwind in classic WoW. As far as the mount thing goes, I think that in every game, it doesn't even matter if you're playing World of Warcraft. This was one of the things that we learned in game design school. Like one of the first things players do who play a lot of video games is instinctively the first button that they go for is they like if they're holding a Game Boy, they try to press B to see if it's sprint, for example. It's like looking for the thing that makes you move faster is always one of the first reactions of a player who has a seasoned lexicon of knowledge in gaming. And the second that you're used to having it in a system, taking it away is always going to inherently feel really bad, which is where, funny enough, we were talking about flying. It's where a lot of those paradigms really come into play. And I don't know if you can ever take away a mount from players. I feel like one of the really big reasons are really big things that you have to do is make the world more dangerous, so you get punished if you use the mount wrong. I feel like you need to have a mount there at all times.
I think it's kind of cool from like a roleplay aspect of it, having like the special mounts and stuff there.
It's like on Karash.
Yeah, I feel like in AQ you had to have a mountain there because it's so freaking big. AQ is like obnoxiously big. Now, I do like AQ a lot. I remember hating AQ. Like I thought it was disgusting. I'm not a big fan of bugs, right? So I just thought it was gross. But over time, I've come to like AQ a lot more. I like the AQ gear and stuff. But more than anything, like you have to have a mountain there, and I don't think you have to have a mountain in the mall. But I just think it's cool from like a roleplay perspective.
Well, you're doing the same way that you need for AQ, right? I mean, do you really need a mount for AQ? I don't really think so.
I mean, it's so big, and well, I mean, I guess nowadays it's not as bad, but back in the day, like people wiping and having the long run backs. I mean, I don't think the teleport was in there from the beginning, but I didn't complete AQ in retail vanilla.
I don't remember. It's been so long.
I didn't complete AQ in retail vanilla, so I don't even remember. I think they added that later. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, they had to add in that, just because it's you run back and it's just okay. I think it's cool. I think anything in these types of games that goes more towards the roleplay aspect of the game and more fantasy, I think is a positive. Over the years, WoW, and this started happening really after the success of Wrath and with Wrath Arenas and MLG and all that stuff, they started to like the Call of Duty-fy the game, and it's like an esport now.
They
We're
call it
gonna try
loadouts now.
esport.
Have you heard Ian refer to them as loadouts? Yeah.
Yeah, it's loadouts. So they do these loadouts, and it's like, okay, we have this. We're playing the spec, not the class. I really don't like how the class design got totally revamped after Wrath. I thought vanilla Burning Crusade Wrath was all it was more based in class fantasy, and just as time went on, it became more like cookie cutter. And now you have a lot of people feel like, I think whenever you play retail is, generally speaking, because you're trying to balance the game so much, it's like every class has a DPS cooldown. You have this interrupt, you have this, and it's almost like you're slotting things in, or some variation of combo points, right? Builders and spenders.
I feel like Cataclysm, one of the ways that they created new abilities is they gave classes the abilities that other classes already had. I didn't like that.
So exactly.
Yeah, it was like a weird process of kind of what happened, because yes, all of a sudden things started to get more and more homogenized, which is there was an interview, which is when they actually said that was why they did the pruning, because they didn't want the game to be in a spot where everybody's level 30 talent row was a movement cooldown, for example. Everybody had one AoE ability. Like, they were actually thinking about the fact that was bad on the game. But I do think it's interesting as well, though, when you move away from the customization being on the talent tree, for example, whether or not people tend to be cookie cutter on a talent tree, when you move away from that, all of a sudden, all of the pressure is going to be on the gear, right? And the customization of how your character is going to play is going to be on the gear. And when different things like transmog got added into the game, that identity was never visual at all. And I feel like that just dramatically impacted how players felt and what their identity was, what their character actually meant. And yes, there are some upsides to it. There are obviously some downsides to it. And I think that one of the main reasons the team is trying to make Covenants work the way that they are now is to fix that and try to have a nuanced solution to it, because they're not going to be able to take away transmogs. What are they going to be able to do? They're going to make you be able to identify under a banner.
Well, you know what's kind of what's kind of dumb to me, and I honestly, I think it's bullcrap. The last two expansions, and this is reeling back a little bit from what you were saying, Rich, but my brain is just stuck on this.
No, you're fine.
The talents. Nothing. It feels like almost nothing has changed, or like they just like churned the bottom of the barrel of the talents for the last two expansions. Like the talent tree looks the exact same. There's no additional row added. It doesn't. It makes it feel so much like a patch as opposed to an expansion. I remember back in the day, a new expansion would come out, and not even that far back. I mean, really, it's, I guess, WoD, Legion, BFA has been, the talent tree's not changing Am I right? As far as the shape of the talent tree is not changing.
I don't remember.
Well, it's not even that far back. Is my point where a new expansion will come out. You got new abilities. You got a new talent. Oh, this is cool. It's dumb. I look at paladins now in retail, and they try and add some things. I think they kind of went back, and they were like, people obviously like a lot of things about old WoW. Let's bring some of those things back. Let's give paladins auras. Let's give warrior shattering throw, which I very much disagree with.
I think it's a great decision, personally.
I think a freaking bunch of idiots over there just giving. I don't know. Anyway, they're doing these things to give people the old abilities back, and it's cool, but they don't make any sense. You look at paladins, you took their passives, and you just were like, we're gonna make these auras. It's actually dumb.
You know the thing you were getting for free? Now you're gonna have to click it.
Yeah.
Fuck you, by the way. Yeah.
It's so dumb. I like having blessings. I like being a support class, and it just doesn't really feel that way. Auras are cool, or auras were cool in earlier versions of WoW because, yes, they made a big impact. And I remember people always saying oh, well, they're not really good or they don't really do anything. Auras do a whole lot. Auras
are very good. Fire resistance aura doesn't matter. What are you crazy?
And players have gotten a lot better over the years. And whenever you go back and play those earlier versions of the game now, that stuff is even more usable, right? Like you got these freaking MMO mouses, and you keybind. Somebody throws a grenade at you, and you throw on fire resist aura, and you resist it or whatever. This is cool, right? It's engaging gameplay. You are a support class as a paladin. Now, in retail, they've tried to bring those things back, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, where it's like, oh, people like this stuff. Well, let's just bring it back. Not why do they like this stuff? Let's find out a way to emulate why they like it and put that into the current version of the game. Because honestly, the current version of the game is so different that it doesn't just inherently work by throwing something that used to be in the game back into the game.
No, of course not. Because it's just, you can't make two decisions like that are completely in a vacuum. It's the same as old talent trees. I would love to see old talent trees just come back into the game, okay? And I know obviously a lot of people probably don't want the complexity that I want in the game, but as somebody who plays a lot of Path of Exile, I'm completely okay with systems on top of trees, on top of systems, on top of mathematics, on top of simulations, on top of a system, on top of a random modifying system, right? I'd love to see the old talent trees come back because I think it would give players a little bit more customization to their character. And I actually think that's what they were trying to do with the conduits, because if you look at the conduits, those are basically the old talent trees. But the problem with leveling, and it's very clear at this point, Blizzard does not care about the leveling experience. If you care about the leveling experience, you go play fucking Classic. They don't give a shit. Let's be real, man. Rich, do you disagree?
I was not necessarily with what you were saying about leveling in some ways, but more with conduits. I think in theory maybe, but I think this is my problem with conduits. I think it got very muddy, the role that they were actually trying to play.
That is true.
And it just got increasingly worse and increasingly worse. I think that for a while it was maybe in the realm of what you were saying. Then I think it became this idea of, we're going to use these conduits and we're going to use the soulbind system as a whole to try to counteract imbalances that exist inside of the covenants and the covenant ability that you're actually getting, because the community was somewhat crying out for that. Then all of a sudden it also became wrapped up in the identity of the player, and they start adding these different things like a 7-day lockout. And there's some really bad scenarios that came up right now. I actually think it's one of the systems that, if it was just completely removed, the game might get better right now. And I think it's also one of the systems that was largely untested, and one of the big reasons that delay was probably needed.
Yeah, I mean, these are some of the massive changes, and I know that I know whenever we had the show with THD, he was saying that the conduits could actually be even more impactful than the covenants themselves. And as somebody who hasn't tested them a whole lot, that was a huge surprise to me. And really, I mean, this is a problem with the systems in general, right? Is that I think that Blizzard has created a situation where they have to balance a dozen different things on top of each other inside of multiple ecosystems that all have to coexist. How can you possibly do that? And I'm very concerned about that balance happening. But at the same time, I think that them taking more time to do it will probably help at least a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's safe. It's safe to say.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not expect today to go like this, man.
I know.
like, this is actually so crazy. I can't think of anything, in the time that we've been doing Allcraft that's been as crazy as this at the very least. I wonder what the next few weeks really are going to look like. I'm very excited to hear what everybody has to say as well. If you guys do want to start sending in your questions, we'll take a look at them. But I think the viewer comments are wild as heck today.
Yeah.
I had a question, and a lot of people have been asking me this since this was, I'm getting DMs and stuff, and I think this is a good topic. Seeing how this relates to Classic and how, if Shadowlands is getting pushed back, do you guys think they're going to end up pushing back Naxx? Or do you guys think Naxx is...
Naxx in January? How do you feel about that? Naxx in January, like late January? I think that'd be good.
I think that would be fine. My initial thought for the timeline of when Naxx would come out, it was somewhere between mid-December to January. If it came out in January, I think that'd be fine. There's still some servers that don't have AQ40 open yet, which...
Really?
Yeah, but it's not even November, though. I feel like AQ40 gearing is so much faster than BWL, though. Because like you get so much more gear. At this point, you already have some of the BWL gear that outpaces the AQ gear. So like if you're going into AQ, for example, and you already have 4 or 5 of your pieces of your best in slot locked down, AQ is just structurally easier to gear from because you have less items that you need to get.
And like a lot of people don't even want their tier in AQ40 because AQ40 has a lot of like strange like PvP like off spec pieces that a lot of people don't want, but then there's those really specific pieces that are just amazing in AQ40, and that's what people run it for. I think by the time Naxx rolls around, I think it's kind of interesting because it's like it kind of like flip flops a little bit with Naxx and AQ40. Like for me, like I want a lot of the armor and tier and stuff like that in AQ40.
We were talking about that like last night a lot. Is like you want more gear from AQ40 than you do from Naxx, which is insane. I'm actually the same way as a DPS warrior. AQ40, this is like, dude, this is what it's all about.
It's really I didn't realize that. Obviously, I don't play as much Classic as I do retail. I didn't realize that some servers didn't have AQ open because I was like, could this mean Naxx actually comes out earlier to try to fill the void for a little while? But
no way.
It seems like it definitely can't. Yeah,
because like, it's a bad idea. Like everybody's gonna be anticipating Naxx so much. Like the moment that they release Naxx is the moment that Classic starts dying. That's the moment that people have all the content. It's over, and that's whenever people start thinking, all right, when's TBC?
Yeah, it's like
they still have that content to look forward to, they're still gonna play. But I do think that we're talking about TBC, right? I brought that up. What do you think, S-Fan? Like, what do you think?
I think they need to make a lot of changes to TBC.
I agree.
Just to highlight like a few of them. I think probably the biggest one is back in the day, Burning Crusade launched, and you had Tier 4 and Tier 5 released at the same time on launch. Yeah. So you had Tier 4 and Tier 5 at the beginning, and now if they approach Burning Crusade in any way the same way they approached it with Classic, I think it's going to be a huge failure. I actually think it's going to bomb, because if you want to base everything off of 2.4, like they based everything off of 1.12, as closely as they could have, which isn't the case. I mean, I think going with class balance and I think going with the talent trees of 2.4 or 1.12 is fine. I think you have to look at some things individually as far as how some of the systems progressed, how some of the raid encounters progressed. They released everything in Classic post-nerf for the PvE encounters, and then as far as player power goes, everything was post-buff. So the players were much stronger and the raids were much easier, and then it caused the snowball effect of everybody being able to clear the early content easily. And it was I described it like a relay race.
The shit needs to be rebalanced, man. Like,
it needs to be rebalanced a little bit, because it was a lot like I'm using a sports analogy. It's like track, like the 4x1. So you're running a relay race and you have 4x100, and each runner is a raid tier. So you would go and you would get full speed, you would get full gear because you're clearing MC from the beginning, and you have however many months until BWL comes out that you go into BWL, and your entire raid is basically as geared as anybody back in original vanilla would have been going like the best player would have been, and your whole entire guild is like that. Your whole entire raid is like that.
People are just much more efficient with gearing. They know all the right decisions to make.
Right.
They don't fuck up with loot unless they're giving it to a ret. And so
Right.
yeah.
Well,
And so,
I think if they're not giving all the gear to rets first, then you're playing the game on easy mode. So that's why I think in terms of keeping the true classic experience, it's most important to give the ret 2 full sets of gear, trinkets, weapons, and all that. And then you can start giving gear to everybody else, because that gives you the true classic experience.
I actually think that having a geared ret paladin in your raid in classic is like it's a status symbol. It's like having a really expensive dog that needs therapy. And so if you have the dog, like the dog is useless, right? This is like a $4,000 poodle. But the fact that you can afford the $4,000 poodle and you can spend all your money, investing into this, shows everybody else that you are wealthy and you can take care of yourself, and you can throw away those gauntlets of annihilation.
Right.
You can
You're just like, who cares?
Throw them away. Just don't give them.
Yeah.
Don't give them to the warrior tank.
It's the biggest dick move that you can have.
It sure is a dick. That's right. Yeah.
It's the biggest dick move that you can have, because it's like, I don't give a damn. We got our ret pal and he's stacked. Crusade, we got one in every raid. They're stacked. Yeah, that's how it works.
Exactly. And so it's insane. But listen, if they bring out TBC, you're totally right. If this affects TBC, I think that we could see Naxx. Like at this point, there is a guarantee that we're going to I think this will actually inadvertently delay Naxx by probably, I don't know, a month. Which is, I think, probably a good decision. Because
I think anything later than January Classic's going to drag on quite a bit. And I think the timeline of December Naxx, and then you give it like 5 to 6 months, and at the beginning of the summer, Burning Crusade Classic comes out, maybe a beta a few months before that, I think would have been great with the timeline of Shadowlands. You got a month of Shadowlands, and then middle of December, you have Naxx come out, then you're probably going to have the next raid tier a few months after that. Well, actually, it would be a little bit longer than that, wouldn't it?
I'd actually like to see if they released TBC like in on the same day in like January 7th or whatever, or 6th, or whenever it came out, like not next year but the year after that, I think it'd be okay. But I do think that would make Classic maybe drag on too long. It's hard to say how much the TBC hype would keep Classic alive, but I think it's in Blizzard's best interest. Like it's kind of like stalling, where it's like you can take a 5-minute video and turn it into a half hour if you like read donations, read chat, get an argument with someone from chat, take an unbanned request, and it's like you just kind of go.
So basically, like either one of our streams.
Yeah, exactly. Until we turn like really like 15 minutes of good content into an hour of content.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and so Blizzard could do the same thing with Classic. It'd probably be better.
Yeah, I think with TBC going and releasing Tier 5 a little bit later. Now, I originally said like maybe even a few months in. I don't know exactly how long it needs to be. I said like 2 to 3 months maybe of waiting until Tier 5 is in. But that's just one thing, right? And you can't have everything post-nerf, but there's some issues like the Kael'thas fight, very famously. It was just straight up bugged, and healers were generating threat in the weapons phase.
Bosch mind control.
Yeah, like there's just things that you gotta account for, and it's like, okay, well maybe you can fix these fights, but not necessarily nerf them to where they're too easy. Yeah, and it'll just make the game fun, and it'll mean something whenever you kill it, right? Whenever you beat the bosses, it's a good thing. Because right now in Classic, it's changed to where the standard is completing that current raid tier like right away, pretty much. Yeah. Right. The standard has almost changed from, at least from the community standpoint. And I think this is dumb. I don't like this. But it's gone from being able to clear the content to now people are like, oh man, what's your speed run, bro? What's your speed run? And it's like, I don't give a damn. You know how much loot you get in a 30-minute clear versus a 1-hour clear? You get the same damn loot. It doesn't matter, right? So you might as well go in there with a group of people that you enjoy, and it's fun.
Well, somebody in chat said Gruul pre-nerf. Like, my guild killed Gruul pre-nerf. And they had to plan out. I wasn't in the group, okay? If I was, they wouldn't have killed it. But my guild killed Gruul pre-nerf. And they had to plan out and have everybody assigned to a very, very specific location, because if more than one person got hit by the shatter, if you were next to another person, you would die. It hit for 8,000. 8,000 physical damage. So like you're talking about like 6k damage, like maybe two warriors could be next to each other, and that would be it. It was insanely hard. And then you have like the grow mechanic, and it was the grow mechanic made it very hard.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have these a little bit more difficult raids and just make sure that it's balanced properly. Now, one thing that Blizzard did really poorly, and this is something that I was concerned with whenever Classic was coming out, was how the raids feel with Classic and just everything being too easy. And they did not want to have people go do the raids before launch because they were worried about it taking away from like the hype of it. And sure, like maybe it would have taken away from the hype a little bit, but you got to have the game be good. Like the hype doesn't really mean that much. And again, Classic is still fine and it's still fun. But I feel like if you played retail vanilla and if you played private servers, the two other versions essentially of Classic WoW, Vanilla WoW, prior to the release of Blizzard's WoW Classic, it's almost like I use the analogy of Adam and Eve, right? You bit the apple, you've tasted sin. So you've seen the other ways that the game can be approached and how it could have been done better by modifying things the right way. And then people are like, oh, but no changes, right? Well, no changes was dead on launch because Blizzard, they said, well, we're basing everything off 1.12, but then
if
they did
were
a number
actually
of things.
no changes,
you
we
have
wouldn't
to
be
make
paying 11.
changes.
We wouldn't be paying 11 gold for a mongoose potion. That's ridiculous on Faralina, man. Like I died 2 times last night's raid. That's like 30 gold.
Right. So it turns into this whole thing of the feeling of authenticity is so much more important than factual authenticity. So drawing from what we learned with Classic, I think that they really need to be smart with TBC and approach the game the right way.
Spell batching?
And I think some degree of spell batching is fine, but I said this after spell batching was announced. And I said, look, this is something that's probably good, but it's probably fine. But what if the player base, what their interpretation of what spell batching is not the same as what Blizzard is going to implement? Whether Blizzard implements something that is bigger spell batch windows, or what if we're wrong? What if we're wrong and the batch windows are much bigger than what we think they are?
Who could
and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So I said this. I said batching a lot of times, whenever it happens, it doesn't feel like, oh man, that was so sick, bro. It's, oh, this game is so freaking buggy.
Yeah.
Like, what is this lag? This is so annoying.
Yeah.
Now there's some cool like skill related things, but a lot of like the I don't know. That's
I don't know. Like every time that
I think some batching is fine, and I think that there's a lot of mechanics of the game. But
every time I got cycloned with spell reflect up, I didn't think to myself, "Wow, that's fun."
Right.
Yeah, I took a fork and I put it in my arm. I was pissed. Like I hated that shit. So yeah, I think they should just get rid of it. Especially like I think BC arenas. I think they have like probably. If they did a BC arena circuit for every tier, right? Like tier 5, tier 4, tier 4, and tier 6, right? And even Sun. Actually, I really think the Sunwell, like the Brutal Gladiator tier, could be really, really good because that's whenever you really start incorporating PvE gear and you really add depth to gearing. So
that was cool.
That was awesome. So I would have loved. I'd love to see an actual, like an arena circuit or like a tournament circuit with maybe.
I think it could be fun.
Hell yeah. And so like
I think it could be interesting.
But like it's gonna feel really shitty and like it's gonna look really shitty to watch whenever you see people trading spells because of batching. It's just cheesy.
I think if there's a batch, it needs to be a little bit smaller batch window, but there's some things mechanically that are like part of the game, and I don't know if it was because of batching or not. I'm dead convinced that with Classic they just put they just threw like basically a batch on everything, like a universal batch on everything. That's why looting feels so. I never remember loot feeling laggy.
I like whenever Cro-Magus's melee attacks are spell batched. That's really fun. Yeah, like I've stunned somebody and they dodge.
Yeah. I'm almost positive they just threw a universal batch on the whole game and just to like be like, oh look, it's Classic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think they screwed some stuff up there, but then there's some things. This is Paladin specific. I don't know what other classes have stuff like this, but some things with seal twisting and stuff. And I don't know if that's a result of spell batching or if that's just the mechanics of the game and being able to hit something when there's a half a second delay on when like judgment lands. That's a more Paladin specific thing. So I don't know.
I know what you mean.
I don't know. Yeah, like in some ways, will it affect class balance? If there's not any batching, should they just reduce the batch windows to like 200? Because I think it's like 400 milliseconds. Should it be 200?
I think it
the
should
reason
be 50.
why. Well, the reason why it existed was because people had laggy internet back then. I remember back whenever, like the green for the bar to be green on WoW was 200 milliseconds, and then they ninja changed it in a patch.
Yeah, they're like, everybody's not getting the green bar. Well, we'll just
they
make
made it 300. And they did
Problem
that
solved.
because people were being like, this game is way too laggy, and they freaking try to schmaz everybody.
Exactly.
I'd be like, oh, look, the game's not lagging anymore. So,
Rich, you want to hit us with some questions?
I just want to say, even with bat spell batching, it can kind of make the game feel laggy, but not as laggy as the release of Shadowlands.
Shadow lag.
So what are the questions?
I almost called it Shadow Legends, dude. But yeah, let's actually go through the questions. Do you think they'll delay Shadowlands? We got that about 60 times before the show even started. So
yeah, I think
that's pretty good. That's pretty great. With the delayed announced, do you think that expectations of the release get raised? Do you think that Blizzard will be able to deliver? If so, I think that's a really great question. Do you guys think that this now has everybody sitting there going, okay, it needs to ship perfect?
I think anybody that expects it to ship perfect is stupid. I think it's going to still ship with problems, realistically, but it's going to be better. And I think that's really what people want to see. People don't you can't expect everything to be perfect. It's about being better, not perfect.
S-Fan?
No, I think the same thing. I think it's people always want the game to be as good as possible, and I said this when our BFA launched. It's okay. Well, it just there's a line. Because it's part of it is, okay, well, it just launched. Let's see how people react to this. There's obviously going to be patches and there's going to be changes. Inevitably, there's going to be things that they're going to find out that they can do to make the game better, right? But I think the line there is releasing totally broken systems that don't work versus, hey, this is pretty good. Let's see how we can adjust this a little bit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's the way that's kind of like where my distinction is between the two is, as long as the system works and it's like, hey, this is something that is I like this. Just let's tweak this a little bit. That's what I would hope for, and that I think is reasonable.
This is a great question. Actually, something that I kind of was kicking around in my head the second that I saw the announcement, and it says, would it help the game if they made pre-patch periods free to play? And I think that one of the main reasons that this question
that's a really smart question.
What'd you say?
That's a really smart question.
Yeah, it's great. So thank you a lot, Rambo number 5 on Twitter for shooting that one out. I think that one of the things that's interesting about it as well is I feel like it would show even more good faith to the community right now if they did it, but that's a lot of money.
I think what if they did something like they gave you 3 days to play it?
Oh,
because the idea,
like a weekend, open beta weekend.
Yeah, enough to get you addicted.
Don't they do free weekends? I'm not sure if they do it with WoW, but I know they did it with Overwatch.
They have done it with WoW. Where
I got into PoE back in the day because they had a free weekend during the closed beta. I think free weekends are great ideas.
I think an open beta weekend could be really good, actually. So with an open beta weekend, what would it do? It would give them like a mass influx of, let's see what happens when a bunch of people play this. It has potential for good feedback. It would give a little bit of hype because it's kind of like it's a little sample, so it makes them, oh frick, that was pretty good, that was fun. Now let's look at the cons of an open beta weekend. Information overload, right? Getting the same bug report 10,000 times is going to be like, okay, we got to sift through this. Because I talked to one of the devs for Classic, and they said this was one of the issues whenever, because we made a pretty big push for this during Classic. We're like, give out more beta invites, let's get more people involved. And they were like, well, here's the problem. And they gave me an example. There was one like earth route in Elwyn Forest or something. I don't remember where it was, but there was one earth route that they said whenever you clicked it, it didn't give you any earth route. It would just like open. It was a broken node.
Bunch of
bullshit.
And
they had legitimately gotten something like 15,000 reports of this one earth route, and they're like, this is kind of the part that makes
it's
them
a TPS report at that point.
Put out more beta invites, because then they're just going to get information overload and they have to sift through everything.
Yeah, and it's like when you get that much, like when you look at that particular example, it's kind of tough to get to the root of the problem, and that's really not something that they want to make money at all. I think that this is a question that a lot of us have had in our head throughout the entirety of the day. This is from Kyle. He says, what feature is the biggest letdown showcase so far for Shadowlands? Do you think that they'll be able to fix it with the current delay?
Covenants. Conduits.
Yeah.
I think they'll fix it. I think they'll make it a lot better.
Well, I think that's
Fix is a very loaded word, but I think it will be much better.
I think with those are like the primary features of Shadowlands, from my perspective. Those are like the big ticket. Like, okay, we're adding the system in. It's it's kind of like a secondary progression system. Whatever. We're excited about this. That's the centerpiece, and I think that needs to be good whenever it comes out. Again, you said fix is a strong word. I don't know if it's going to be 100% fixed.
What about the maw? People are saying the maw.
Okay, say again. Sorry.
What do you think about the maw? Did you play the maw at all?
I just looked at it. I didn't get to play it myself. No.
That's too bad. Yeah, I think that's one big thing they need to fix.
Too bad. What a lucky guy.
Well, I mean, you want to know at least what's going on.
No,
you know?
it's good. You here's the thing. You want to do things that are bad so that you can learn why it's bad, and then you can give good feedback on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I wish I did, but I didn't get a chance to look at them all yet.
What do you think about adding a fourth row of talents that would unlock at level 60?
Wow, great idea.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of annoyed that they haven't done that.
It seems like a no-brainer in a lot of ways, especially with the incredibly interesting talents that they have made that are gated behind Covenant abilities. Like, the thing is I don't want to see majority of the Covenant abilities be balanced to be good in every scenario. Like, I always go back to the Warriors. I go back to that Kyrian spear and how interesting that is in certain situations. I don't want that to be balanced around every single scenario. I want it to be really good where it's good, and I want to be excited to use it every single time.
Mm-hmm.
True.
All right. Man, there's so many people tweeted, do you think they'll delay Shadowlands?
Fucking idiots.
Just like over and over again.
They're fucking goofballs, man.
How do you guys feel if Famed Slayers got flying early in 9.0 with Pathfinder to follow later? Famed Slayers of Denathrius.
Famed Slayers of Denathrius.
You know what I used to like? And I used to think it was pretty cool?
Only if they gave it to Gladiators too. Because I hate this shit.
Remember when you got, it wasn't Famed Slayer, but when you actually did the like achievements, like the full achievement run in Wrath of the Lich King, you got a faster mount. I always thought that was neat.
Only for the
too.
raid achievements. So this is a thing a lot of people might not remember this. Back whenever they added flying mounts, there were 3 different tiers of flying mounts. There was 150% speed, there was 280% speed, and then there were a very few amount of mounts in the game that were actually 310% speed, and there were certain mounts that innately moved that fast. So for example, the Black Prototype, it was 60, okay. Well, it's 60% speed. Well, there was a 280 and you could not buy 310. So the only way you could get 310% speed is by obtaining one of these very hard to get mounts. So Gladiator mounts gave you that speed. Ashes of Valar gave you that speed. The raid reward mounts gave you that speed, so like the Black and the Plagued Proto Drake, for example, gave you that speed. I love that. I thought that was really cool. The only issue is that then you'd feel like you had to ride those mounts because they were more efficient and faster, so it was kind of annoying that way. But I'd love to see something like that, to where people that were actually like really played the game a lot and actual made accomplishments had a form of advantage in that way.
Yeah, you could get it with Violet, right? You could get it with the
people are saying that.
Predator.
I don't remember that, but sure.
I don't remember that, but if you could, that would mean that was the holiday mount, right?
Yeah, I already had my 310 way before then, so it wasn't a concern.
I kind of think it's fine that those better mounts are the more prestigious mounts are better where they fly faster or whatever. I think it's fine. I said it might be kind of annoying because they have to fly a certain mount or whatever. Yeah, but I think those mounts should be cool enough that you would want to ride them anyway. Now, everybody has their own personal preference. Like I think on retail, I use my 60% white Snow Griffin most of the time, just because I like how it looks. But
exactly.
This is a weird question. Okay. Because I don't remember how it looks, but it goes in line with what SVO was saying. Because I just remember this. I remember on Druids, my flight form would go 310, and I'm trying to remember if the flight form went fast or if you had unlocked the mount, because I had unlocked the mount on my Druid, if then you had 310.
Dude, I don't remember at all. Like, I actually remember...
Does anybody in chat remember? Like, if you
Yeah.
unlocked a 310 mount, did your druid flight form then unlock 310?
I don't
Because it was
remember.
this weird choice, and I remember being like, yo, I'm getting away with like a crime, it feels like, every time I'm playing my druid. Yeah, you unlocked it.
Yeah, I didn't play druids. I don't know. I don't remember. Oh, there was an epic flight form, but I don't know if the epic flight form was 310. I thought the epic flight form was 280. Was it 310?
Which one? The Druid Flight Form?
Epic Flight Form.
I thought Druid Flight Form was 280. And then, and even whenever Druid Flight Form was the same speed as normal flying mounts were actually still faster because people could use riding crops and other things to increase their mount speed, which did not actually apply to the Druid flying speed.
Yeah. No, do I remember this right? Druids could get flight form at level 68, the base
Yes.
flight form. That was so annoying. And they could cast it was instant. So like freaking druids, dude. I believe druids and Burning Crusade are so freaking strong.
Well, it was really stupid. Like, my mom was a druid in BC, and like,
Yeah.
I remember I dueled her once, and she beat me, and I still remember that. And she didn't really know what she was doing. She was just backpedaling, spamming Moonfire, and I lost.
And that's how it works.
Yeah, my mom beat me. in the duel.
Welcome to Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
I'm searching for a couple more questions here.
There was one time I had Jeff duel my mom whenever they were both level 60, and or like Jeff was like 58 or something, and I actually played my mom's account whenever my mom was dueling Jeff because I knew that I would be
nice.
able to really beat him because I knew exactly how to play a druid, and so I 100-0'd Jeff, and then I went over to Jeff. I was like, Jeff, you just got 100-0 by my mom. You fucking suck.
That's not TOS. You're allowed to play on your mom's account.
Yeah.
You're actually allowed to play on your mom's account.
Even if it was TOS, let's be honest, who cares? Well, that's fine. It's statute of limitations, right? That was like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Fine.
Nah,
Unfortunately,
you can play on your mom's account.
Yeah.
It's true. Do you think the concurrent version of Classic WoW that gets updates and new content similar to old school RuneScape would ever happen, or will Classic always just be a closed loop? And yeah, just to open this up a little bit further, this is a question that we get quite frequently, and as a fan, I'm very curious about your opinion. People often talk about when Burning Crusade comes out, is Classic still going to remain Classic? Are the servers going to be progressive? Will we ever get Classic Plus? What's your opinion on that entire situation?
I think what is the best case scenario for what Blizzard should do is, it's hard to say exactly, but there needs to be some form of I guess, permanence with Classic. I think they do need to make fresh servers and launch a new fresh, because if they don't, I mean, if the idea behind Classic was basically like, hey, there's a lot of people playing private servers and they want this, let's give it to them. I think people are just going to leave. The people who really want to play Classic, they're just going to go back to Classic or go back to private servers. And honestly, the way the game's been approached, we already touched on this. There's no need to talk about it anymore. Private servers are going to do it 1,000 times better than what Classic did. So if Blizzard does want to release fresh Classic servers, they're going to have to fix a number of things with Classic and how it was launched. I don't know if they want to put in the time and resources for it, because I think that they have not done that. I mean,
You know what
it's
I
not
wanna
too
see them
late.
do?
I think there's a couple of days. Like, I mean, it's not that much work at all for them to just like fix some of the issues with Classic now, and they're just blatantly disregarding it and not doing it. So like,
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna do that, but I do think they do need to make fresh servers, and I think that the current servers probably need to progress to TBC. The con of that is that there's so much gold and stuff in the economy. How is that going to affect the game?
Epic
gonna
flying isn't gonna mean shit.
Right. So I don't know what the best option is, but realistically, you're probably going to see some sort of progression from the current servers to Burning Crusade, whether it's like a character copy, some sort of gold squish, some sort of something is going to happen there. And what I do think is very important, and I think the concept of forced progression is something that is hard on people. Some people will want to play Phase 6 Classic WoW forever. Now, do they give you the opportunity to, hey, we're going to make stasis servers or a set of stasis servers that are always in Phase 6 Classic WoW, and then you character copy over there and you just have your character saved there, and you can just play Classic whenever you want and just screw around, go run raids, and you just kind of have that. Then you have your fresh servers for Classic, and then everybody else move on to TBC. For me personally, I'm probably never going to play Classic again. unless I just play on that like stasis server
me
and just
ask you
screw around on my
something.
character and do duels and stuff like that for fun. But for me, my plan is just to do Burning Crusade when Burning Crusade comes out, and Shadowlands. So,
Okay, what if Blizzard came out with patch 1.1 just like it was in 2004, vanilla classic servers with progressive patching and progressive itemization?
well, that would be
I would
great.
play
I
that
just don't
again.
think they'll do it.
Well, that's here's the thing, right? Is like all they need to do, like if they did that, yeah. Think about this: classic.
Like, you know what they should call it? They should just call it classic done right. That's what they should call it.
Classic squared.
Yeah.
No, I'd love to see that. It'd be cool, and I think that'd be a way for them to re-incentivize and re-excite people to do the same content again. I really I would re-roll. I would 100% re-roll to play the game exactly the way that it was in like the original release. That would be really cool.
There are some things about the original release that would be cool. I think there'd be some novelty to it and some actual you think you do but you don't.
I think
Right.
there'd be a lot of you think you do but you don't.
Yeah. So I just think it needs to be done right. And maybe if it's done right, I'll probably play classic. I just don't know if they're going to do that. I think it's so easy to go through and fix some of the little minor things with classic right now that should tweak this, whatever. Now there's some things that all the information was out there, like progressive itemization. There was literally a website which was incredible. The guy took it down, but it was called itemization.info. You typed in any item and it gave you every single patch of every single item and how it changed. Progressive itemization should have been a thing. Like we talked about this for well over a year before classic was actually released, and all the information is out there. Like you could type in Bone Reaper's Edge and you saw the 4 different versions of BRE instead of the one.
Yeah, you showed me this website.
Yeah, and BRE is amazing until the end of classic because you're using the Naxx patch version of BRE from phase 1, right? What would be patch 1.2. So it's just it's almost like it's just like laziness. I don't know, like get a freaking intern and tell them to go look at the website and just
get
plug the stuff in.
Pay 5 interns to watch a bunch of WoW videos from 2004 and figure out all the things that were different, and then just reverse engineer the rest of it and just guess with the last probably 30%. And I actually think that whatever. I would play that 100% just because it's a new way to play the game. It's like I don't know exactly like the best way to describe it, right? But like instead of like classic remastered, classic unmastered. Yeah. It's like somehow we're gonna make it like you thought it was bad this time? Wait for this.
Yeah. I think I think a true progression. Well, I think you would hate it. I'm gonna be honest. Warriors sucked balls. Warriors were terrible in original classic, and now they're good pretty much the entirety of classic. Because I remember, dude, they had the old class descriptions, and they had, they had like warriors, or sorry, they had like rogues like good at doing damage, mages doing spell damage from range. And I remember the description for warriors said, "What is it best at?" It said best at taking damage.
Fuck.
That's like what it was, best at taking damage. And that's what they did.
Well, you know what? I'll be a meta slave and I'll pick whichever one is actually secretly overpowered. That'd be great. Rich, you got another question?
Let me actually see. I think we moved through most of them. Let me. Right. This one just came in.
Yeah.
We'll ask this one last. I haven't even read this one yet. If it does get crazy, it says, going off what S-Fan said about information overload, do you think that they could implement a hot fix that when somebody submits a bug, they get a... Never mind. That question wasn't great. They already have that. Just to answer your question for the person who has it. We actually answered all of the questions that were sent on Twitter because everybody spent all of the time kind of asking whether or not the expansion is delayed, which it is. Shadowlands is actually delayed. Till when? We don't know. I think that's going to kind of be the focus of some of the next episodes of Allcraft that are going to be coming up. But I think the other thing that we do need to keep in mind is what should they be working on in the time that they have bought themselves now. And I think there's going to be a lot of talk about the covenant systems, about the soul binds and everything in between, class balance, leveling. It seems like just about everything was on the chopping block up until today.
I knew it. Yeah, I knew it was gonna happen, dude. I was like, yep. There's no way they're not gonna do it, man. They have to do it.
Yeah, I'm really glad they did. I actually,
I would say
I thought it was
for
something
like
they
a
should
week
do, but
now,
I didn't
too.
think they would actually pull the trigger on it. So that's cool.
I thought they would. I mean, there's no reason that they shouldn't. I mean, like the thing, what they should do now? Actually, never mind. Like they're adding the pre-patch. I was gonna say make corruption. Like I would love. I feel really disappointed about this. Right? I feel cheated almost. I would love to play a fire mage with full mastery corruptions and full mastery gearing. I would have loved to play that. I bet that'd be fucking fun. But I guess I'll never have the opportunity to because Shadowlands is going to come out and corruptions are going to get deleted. Same thing with warlocks. Like I really loved the way that corruptions gave you the ability to just like hyper focus on one stat and play your class a certain way.
So pre-patch is going to get rid of the corruption still, right?
Yeah, it's deleting corruption.
Yeah. So that's the 13th now. So I feel like you won't necessarily get that opportunity. I'm curious how long we'll be in pre-patch. How long is pre-patch normally?
I think that Legion was 42 days and BFA was 25.
I think that I think about 4 weeks is like healthy. 3 is kind of short.
Dude.
And
do you really think that? Because like I remember at the BC pre-patch,
that was like 6.
That was fucking awesome.
But it was fun.
That was really
also
fun.
There was also a lot of like wonder with that because it was the very first expansion.
Yeah.
But
No,
I think
second.
nowadays
I mean, like
6 weeks is a long time for a pre-patch.
I mean the TBC to Wrath.
Oh,
Dude,
I don't remember that being very long.
Yeah, it was quite a while. I remember it being quite a while.
I don't remember how long that was.
Yeah, back then,
I'm gonna look that up. Actually.
Yeah,
That's
they
a good
added.
question.
I remember. Yeah, they added Chivos, man. Like I remember, like me going in with the guild and like, all right, we got to do a Nixia again to get the Achivo. That was good, man.
I mean, there were a lot of things too in between BC and Wrath where, for a lot of us, I feel like most of the people who play WoW are 25 to 35.
It's a boomerang.
Yeah, like a lot of the people who play are 25 to 35. So what happened for the younger end of that group, their brains suddenly started working towards the end of BC.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden they were like, oh yes, I actually know how to communicate with other human beings and I would like to play the game at a high level. And that pre-patch, I feel like so many guilds started to form. And I don't know if that's an experience that would ever happen again or if it ever could be replicated again. I think that was one of the reasons I loved the pre-patches so much, was you just met a lot of people and started playing with them.
So I just checked it out. Wrath pre-patch, going from TBC to Wrath was 1 month. October 14th to November 13th.
Only 1 month?
Yeah.
Damn, man, I felt like it was so much longer. That's crazy.
Here's the thing. I think that if you have too long on a pre-patch, it's almost like you give them a taste of the expansion, and pre-patch is pretty much always exciting, but you give them a taste of the expansion, and if you draw it out, you can get like 2 subs out of them. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if they think about it that way.
I wonder if they think about it that way. I don't know. Have you seen the corruption vendor rotation? I wonder if they do.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah. Well,
look at the negative side of it, though. I think obviously you get a lot of it, but I think at a certain point, you know, we were talking about having an open beta and the things that are bad about playing on an open beta, and all of a sudden it feels like there really aren't too many consequences. There's not as much permanence with your character sheet and the progression of your character. I feel like you very quickly get there with pre-patch. You hit existential crisis before a month. Typically in a pre-patch. Like you're just like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I on this treadmill? The hype can only last so long. And I actually go back to, I'll go back, like play it, but I often talk about the Warhammer MMORPG. That game was a hype machine. And that machine ran out of gas. And by the time the game actually came out, because they had just built up the hype with way too long of a runway, all of a sudden, by the time it came out, the game was kind of DOA. And that was one of the things I was nervous about with different games like Ashes of Creation as well. It's like, I feel like if you make too long of a runway for hype, you shoot yourself in the foot, because the game, the plane runs out of gas before it can even lift off. And I feel like pre-patch being long is going to diminish the hype.
Well, I think one of the big problems, I agree with you. I do think one of the big problems specifically with Warhammer was and there's a community of people who still are big fans of Warhammer Online, but it came out and it tried to compete with Wrath, and at that point WoW was on top of the world, right? And you can't really beat WoW by trying to be a WoW clone, and that's something that every single one of these MMOs that's come out has, every single one of these MMOs that has done that has come out and tried to do that. They've lost, right? Like, you need to make a new game, and that's why you see
Final Fantasy doing
games
so
like
well.
Final Fantasy doing so well, because it's not the same thing.
It's not
right?
just WoW.
And like Warhammer had some excitement behind it because the original, like, Mythic was working on it, who made Dark Age of Camelot, which was a very well known for its PvP and stuff like that. So
there were some unique systems, but I do agree at its core. Yeah, it was trying to just be a game that already did exist. Like, there were some interesting things as far as class design was concerned, and I was pretty excited for the game, and I did play it. And I just think one of the biggest problems, I agree with you full-heartedly in that regard, but even if it didn't have those issues that you mentioned, I do think that the hype and how long they tried to hype up that game was one of the things that killed it, even if it was good.
It's hard to
Even
say.
if it was nuanced, rather.
It's hard to say. I feel like today has been quite a roller coaster,
yes,
to say the least. Quite a roller coaster. So, S-Fan, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. One of the big friends
great.
of the show. Thank you very much, man. I look forward to playing Shadowlands when it's ready. And that is going to be fucking amazing. I'm very excited about that. So thank you very much for coming on, man. I appreciate it. And Rich, oh guys, make sure to link all of S-Fan's socials in chat. S-Fan, you get a stream today? Oh no, you stream tomorrow.
No, I'll stream tomorrow. Today,
Okay. That's right. Yeah, Thursdays.
I'm doing my little boomer month. We're gonna continue Knights of the Old Republic 2 tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do some Shadowlands beta and stuff coming up pretty soon on stream too, because I wanna get into it a little bit.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, anyway, you guys can follow SFan, twitch.tv/SFanTV. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him everywhere except for in real life. So make sure to do that, guys. Rich and I are, of course, going to go over to the after show. We're going to take your questions. So if you wanted to stick around, I'll go ahead and host the stream, and we'll move right on over to there. So thank you guys all so much for watching today. It's been certainly a good episode, and I think you guys can very easily tell, based on my mood at the beginning versus the end of the episode, I am in a much better mood now. And so this is a very good day. I'm very happy, and so that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Really fucking appreciate it. And Rich, you want to step over and start it up?
Yeah, guys, I'll see you in the after show where we can all talk about the fact that this thing's actually delayed. Thanks,
Yeah,
S-Man.
I might join you guys for a little bit too.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Yeah, we can do it in the Discord, or if you want to come down here, either or.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, for sure.
All
I'll
right,
talk to you guys
cool.
later. Peace.
All right, peace.